27th, 2016. John Todd called the Martin County Sheriff's Office to report that his sister, Trisha Todd, was missing. She hadn't picked up her daughter, Faith, from the babysitter that day, which was highly unusual for her. When deputies arrived at the residence where Trisha was living, the scene inside her house appeared normal. Nothing was ransacked and nothing seemed suspicious. However, her vehicle was parked across from her residence, not in its usual spot. Inside the vehicle, the police found her purse and keys left on the passenger seat, but her cell phone and wallet were nowhere to be found. The deputies initiated a BOLO, be on the lookout for a missing person. Trisha occasionally left her house in the middle of the night to walk on the beach. To get to that area from her home, she had to pass through some of the rougher parts of town. The detectives suspected that she might have gone off for a late-night swim and possibly drowned, but they weren't sure. All they had at that moment was speculation. That night, the deputies contacted Trisha's brother and asked him who she was with last. Mr. Todd indicated that her ex-husband, Mr. Williams, was in town and was likely the last person with her. When the police reached out to Stephen over the phone, he explained that he had come to town for the week to visit his daughter, which was a common occurrence. Stephen Williams, who had previously served in the Air Force and had no criminal history, cooperated fully with the investigators and came across as a gentle, laid-back individual. Trisha had custody of her daughter, Faith, and
gotta watch out for them. They be the most calm people that be the most dangerous. Next thing you know, they turn into a wolf, bruh. Gotta watch out for them.
Stephen was able to see Faith whenever he wanted. He visited Trisha and Faith that week in April. He drove down from the base in North Carolina and got an Airbnb in Florida. That day, the 26th of April, Trisha left Faith with him for the evening. The next day, Trisha was due to collect Faith from the babysitter and go to work, but she didn't show up. As Stephen was reportedly the last person to see Trisha alive, he was invited to the interrogation room at Martin County Sheriff's Office for a formal interview.
Look like Randy Jackson.
Stephen told detectives that he went and picked his daughter up from the babysitter. There was a point that night, close to midnight, where his daughter, Faith, started to get fussy, so he sent Trisha a text message.
So I texted her, like, hey, baby, super fussy, I know it's late, but if you're up kind of thing, like, would you mind coming and calming her or whatever? And then she was text back, like, on my way. Awesome. So, a few minutes go by, she comes over, she sits with Faith. Faith is happy now, 12:30, 1 o'clock by now. Probably in a minute. Yeah. She leaves, Faith is asleep, and then, well, she doesn't leave, actually, since her car's out of gas. Which, that really frustrates me. That's her thing. Her car never has gas in it. She mentioned there's a gas station down the street, and I was like, you know what, gas stations, gas cans, you got any money, I'll just drive my car, I'll go get you a gas can and some gas, no big deal. So she gives me a 20, I leave, the gas station's maybe a half mile down. Get the gas can, pay for it, get 2 gallons of gas, leave, put the gas in her car, and then I told her.
I know they make it obvious he did it for one, the thumbnail and the title, but if it was just a random video, nothing, I would actually believe him. He sounds so believable, convincing. I like that word better. He sounds so convincing. I would have thought he was really a stand-up guy. Air Force too. He probably was tired of lying.
Good night, basically. I'll contact you tomorrow, or you can call me or whatever. That's it. Next day, Faith wakes up. I'll take her to Walmart. And I messaged her that day after getting no reply. Straight to voicemail. I'm like, that's annoying. I don't want to stay here all day. Like, I don't like driving at night. So I was like, you know what? I'll just take her to Denise. That's where I picked her up from anyway, and that's who normally watches her.
Stephen's assertion is that he left his child with the babysitter and headed back home. Detectives found this scenario puzzling, as it raised concerns regarding why a father would leave town without knowing the mother's whereabouts.
What do you think happened to her? I don't know. It would be like 1 in the morning or 3 in the morning, and she'd be like, oh, I wanted to go for a walk. She would say, like, I want to talk with God. But it's like, at 2 in the morning, you're just going to be walking the neighborhood by yourself. Like, you don't even have, like, some pepper spray. You don't have your phone. Like, is she that kind of person that's oblivious to that stuff? She's always had that, like, God will protect me thing going on. Like, nothing will happen to me. I'm a child of God. I'm thinking, like, that's good to have that kind of faith. But it gets to a point where, like, let's be reasonable here. Like, good people still die every day. There are times in life where things happen that we wish we could take back. And if this scenario that's involving you is a scenario where you either accidentally, intentionally, I don't know, did something, now's the time to tell us. I still care about her, I just don't want to be with her. That's right.
After hours of interviewing, detectives still had no evidence in which to arrest Stephen Williams. He was free to go. You could tell he had to have killed her during the argument, because he literally expressed how so many things that she did frustrated him, so he had to have got fed up. I mean, they divorced, so that's already one issue they got going on. And then
tonight, the effort to find a missing Hope Sound mother continues. Trisha Todd was reported missing on Wednesday.
We don't want to miss something.
Sheriff William Snyder says there's no timetable to call off the search, not ruling anything out at this time.
So we don't have any evidence of a crime, but we have very suspicious circumstances under which she's missing.
Over 60 volunteers joined a team of deputies to thoroughly search the rugged Florida scrub brush near Trisha's home. The police were tirelessly searching every possible location, hoping to find any clues about Trisha's whereabouts. While talking to Trisha's family, detectives learned some very disturbing facts about Stephen's past and his behavior. Investigators not only found evidence that Stephen had killed Trisha's puppies, but also uncovered a troubling history. Although never officially charged or convicted, Stephen had been arrested for domestic violence against Trisha. Her mother recalled a shocking incident where Stephen had punched her in the stomach while she was pregnant, horrifyingly hoping for a miscarriage. While thoroughly going through the timeline,
but he just didn't like his family. He didn't want a family, bro. That is, oh my gosh. Punched her is crazy. And they said he had no criminal record? Yeah, okay.
of events, detectives found a hole in Stephen's story. One of the neighbors reported that they saw Stephen leaving in Trisha's car, a detail Stephen failed to mention in his interview. The investigators were certain of one thing. Trisha's car, initially found at her home in the morning, was clearly out of place. The task at hand was to uncover evidence, leading the investigators to collect footage from surveillance cameras at nearby businesses. Upon closer examination, the footage revealed something startling. Trisha's car had left her residence, raising red flags. What made this particularly perplexing was Stephen's earlier statement claiming she hadn't left until around 2 a.m. Yet the video footage showed her car cruising down US 1 at 1 a.m. All eyes turned to Stephen as a potential driver. If he had indeed taken her car, he would have had to trek back home on foot. After reviewing footage from 3 different cameras, they identified a figure that matched Stephen's description. In the dimly lit background, they could just barely make out a person with a distinctive gait. This individual seemed to be walking from the vicinity of Trisha's residence to the north of US 1 in the early morning hours. This revelation marked a significant breakthrough in the investigation. The detectives decided to confront Stephen with this newly found evidence. He was called into the police station for yet another interview.
The neighbor saw you leaving her car. He saw you going back and forth. You recognize this area here?
That's the entrance to the community, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one way in, one way out.
The detectives didn't share the video CCTV footage with Stephen because its poor quality made it inconclusive, giving him the opportunity to deny it was him and claim it could have been someone else. The strategy they had was not to show him the video, but was to show him the locations of where the video cameras were facing.
So we see her pulling in 12:08.
At the time you said she came over.
Perfect. 1:20. There goes her car coming out. A couple minutes later, that same car, her car, makes the U-turn right here. Okay?
And that.
We see the car coming back in here. So literally went towards her house, came back. Why is that?
Oh, it didn't go home. You know, the cameras get footage of the sidewalk all the way up US 1.
And people on foot also. Around 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning. I'd be asleep by then. I did tell you that that camera that that computer plays is HD.
It's you walking.
The detective was aware of Stephen's narcissistic tendencies, so she leveraged this knowledge and strove to establish a connection with him by portraying Trisha in a negative manner.
You got a lot going for you. You're good looking, you're young, you got straight, and you got this crazy ex. She's come after you before. Did she come after you that night and something happened? And you were just, oh, what do I do now?
No, she never came after me. Nothing.
It's an overwhelming amount of evidence pointing at you. So help me continue painting this picture of you. I just need to know where she's at, Stephen.
I don't know where she is.
Even if you know where she's at.
I don't. I really don't.
I need you to work with me. I need to tell them that you're being 100% honest with me.
First time I left,
Okay?
she asked me to go back and get her laptop so she can keep working. I said, okay, I'll make it here. She's happy. So that you have to leave. And she freaks out. I'll go.
Okay.
So I leave.
Makes sense.
She's hard. Literally having
Be blowing me is people that be having clean records, bruh. Like, it'd be the people that have the cleanest record ever that be doing the most horrifying things, bruh. And don't even be thinking twice about what they be doing. Whether they got kids, a life going for them, they'll really throw that all away in a matter of seconds.
literally having and I'm thinking I can make it, but it doesn't look like it. I just turn around and go back. And in fact, she was on the floor. And she wasn't very responsive. And I kind of freaked out. And I'm like, oh my god, now she's lying on the floor. She's not responsive. And this looks really bad. Because I can't explain. And all I'm thinking is, I don't know why you're doing this to me when I've done nothing but try to be a good person to you. So I just put in the car. And I'm just driving and thinking.
But she passed away in that car. It was nothing you did to her. She just passed away. And then you freaked out even more. Is that fair to say? Did you just lay her down somewhere? Out in the open?
Yes, I just let her lay there, so peaceful. You're just lying there, you're breathing shallow, I can't call.
Steven,
I don't know where the hell I am.
we had already determined that she had passed while she was in the car. You can't go backwards. Tell me she was shallow breathing.
Shallow, really shallow.
In a sudden turn of events, Stephen admitted that Trisha had passed away in his car. Subsequently, he chose to dispose of her body on the side of the road. However, he then recalled his admission, realizing what he had implicated himself in, and retracted his statement by claiming that Trisha was, in fact, still alive, as she was exhibiting signs of breathing.
I was hoping she would just snap out of it and come back. After I dropped her car off, I just changed. Didn't want anything to do with it.
Where did you change your clothes?
It was right there. Threw the whole bag away. I didn't ask for this. I just wanted to come spend some time with my daughter. I don't know what's going on. I just don't know anything.
She was in here and she was playing this way.
Was this carpet here?
And all I thought was, this is some kind of like trick. This is some kind of like ploy to get back at me or to mess things up for me.
How long was she on the floor before you decided to check her or do something with her?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I just...
What did you do with her?
I just put her in the door. Just freaked out. I didn't know what I should do at that point.
Making him relive that moment is crazy, but I don't even know if this is interviewers or the police.
Investigators were convinced that Stephen was performing an elaborate act, pretending to be upset and crying, though no tears were shed. Despite this, the detectives had to maintain the charade for a while, allowing him to believe he was in control. Then they advised him that the best course of action was to lead them to the place where he had left her peacefully. He agreed to do so.
That boy evil. Oh, nah.
We're going to go south on US 1.
None of this looks familiar. None of this looks like anything.
So have we gone too far?
I have no idea.
Do you love your daughter?
Of course I do. Of course I do.
Okay. You need to give her mother back to her.
But I can't.
Okay, I told her she's gonna need some type of stability.
I have no.
And you're all she's got.
I don't even know.
You
where
are the
this
only
leads.
living parent that she has left. You need to show her that she's gonna grow up saying, my dad is something to her mom, and he left her out. Is that what you want your daughter to grow up thinking? Knowing? Then take me to her. You have to. Stephen,
To
you
a
know.
place I don't know. I don't.
The only
place
reason you're not taking me there is because something else happened to her that night.
After driving around aimlessly, the detectives had made no progress in finding Trisha. Stephen believed that he had evaded arrest once again and was free to go home. However, he was no longer in control because what he had forgotten is that the whole time he was explaining this, he had told the detectives that he left his daughter, Faith, at the house by herself. As a result, he was placed under arrest for child endangerment, which gave the detectives more time to continue interrogating him.
You're no point
Damn.
trying to do CPR, call 911. You don't do any of that. You go and put her in her car.
Yes, I could take her home. Is what I thought. I can just take her home and she can
But you
out of
didn't.
my hair.
But you didn't. You
Because-
wanted her out of your hair, and you got it.
Because I didn't.
You got it, and I'm gonna prove it. There
ain't
really
got
is
no
no
hair.
emotion in there. There really is nothing in there for her, huh?
What are you talking about? I'm just.
You
I'm
wanted
going
her
off of what
gone.
you're saying. I wanted her to not be dead in my home. I wanted whatever this was to not be affecting me the way it was.
It's Tom Backall. Oh, we haven't met yet. What's your name?
Stephen Woods.
First thing I need you to get me over is you could tell them this initial version of events and leave out this whole, as you said multiple times, stupid laptop thing.
Because it was stupid and it didn't make sense.
Something doesn't make sense, it's generally not true. That doesn't look good. If I got up and I sat over there and you sat here, what would you think of me telling you that? Right?
Yeah.
You come back and Trisha's laying on the floor with an injury. You know, 911, boom, cops are there, ambulance, she gets treatment. And you did not do that, right? Do you have a conscience?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
And as she's laying in the back of the car, your conscience never kicked in and said, maybe she's still alive. Maybe I should take this opportunity to save a human life. Not just a human, but the mother of my child.
So you're insinuating because I didn't think that I don't have a conscience?
No, I'm not insinuating, I'm saying it.
You made it seem like I had this whole grand. I don't have any plan.
No, it's
I didn't know any.
Hey, this was the most poorly executed murder in history.
I didn't murder her.
Okay.
Two separate detectives had attempted to extract a confession from Stephen, but both approaches had proven ineffective. The aggressive and hostile interrogation tactics had only caused Stephen to become more withdrawn. It was evident that a change in strategy was necessary. That's when Detective Dan Duliak entered the room. Dan had recently joined the
Damn,
department,
Duliak.
and this marked his first significant involvement in a homicide case.
What I want to do is try to set the stage so that you can actually tell the narrative about what actually happened, which is not that you
Freak
planned
ass boy.
all this. You know, it's maybe you guys got in an argument. Maybe it was over the computer. Maybe it was over the gas.
Because I sit here and tell you that she attacked me, that's just another different story that you're just going to be like, well, that's 5 different stories you're telling now. And that doesn't help either. So what do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to tell you?
I want you to tell me the truth. The truth is never anywhere near as bad as what people will believe if you let them come up with their own story.
I don't hate her. I never hated her. I didn't
So
like her.
tell
I
me,
didn't hate her.
so tell me that story. I think you're a good guy. You're a family man. You're trying to do the best that you can. Okay? I know you were there. I want to give you the opportunity to tell me what happened.
People's imaginations will run wild, and they will come up with the most horrific things.
I don't even know where. It just don't know. It just happened.
Talk to me about from midnight.
I would never text her otherwise. I was
Right.
already late and she had already left. I would have never texted her.
And you're a good dad.
That's it. That's all I was trying to do was just be a good dad. Just, okay, you want your mom? Fine. Like, I'm not going to deny you that, you know? Talks about nonsense and bringing up child support and just more stupid stuff that I just, for the most part, tried to ignore. And then, yeah, there was a mix-up with the check, but that's not my fault because you told me this was your address, so yeah, that's where I mailed it to. And then she's telling me that's not the mailing address. So I'm like, that's not my fault. If you told me you moved, I did the responsible thing, and I made sure the check was going to go wherever you moved to if you're not at your mom's house. And then she's just going on and on and on. Now I owe her more money and back child support. And it's just stupid. I was like, just let me have your account information. Just here's the account number. And I'll direct deposit it, and this will never happen. And no, that's not gonna work. We can't do that. You owe me all this money, and I don't want this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why you're so mad. I don't know if you took a freaking crazy pill all the way over here and that really pissed her off. And it just escalated. And then I just moved her away, and then she slipped. And that's when she freaking fell. And I'm like, oh shit. I asked her if she was okay. It was like a weird sound. She didn't say anything though. And then I freaking panicked. And I just freaking panicked. And it just went so fast. And then I pushed her. And then it wouldn't push. I was trying to get her away. Just please stop yelling in my face. It's like, just, you know, like if she was at that instance, fine. But she wasn't. And I'm like, please just stop. And so I went to move her away, and she slipped, and she hit her head, and I didn't mean for that. That wasn't my freaking fault. I wasn't. And then all I'm thinking is, great, now I've pushed her, and she's hurt her head, and I'm done. I'm just, everything I've tried to do, everything I've tried to be, is done because I've made a mistake. I didn't even lose my cool. I just tried to move you away. I just did. Very nice. Sorry.
The detectives had enough to charge him with murder, thanks to the evidence of their animosity, his numerous lies, and his recent confession.
First, our top story, an arrest, as you heard, in the disappearance of that Hope Sound mom, Trisha Todd's ex-husband, charged with her murder.
Right now, the sheriff's office is focusing in on an area of the Treasure Coast for her body. Kelly Dunn begins our team coverage from their command post in Martin County.
That's right, Ashley and Michael. We are right off of Bridge Road, just west of I-95, where the sheriff's office has set up its command post. Sadly, they are on a search for remains of Trisha Todd. It was learned today that indeed she will never be coming home. She was murdered and her body was dumped.
Stephen had the entire thing planned out. He had previously bought a chainsaw in North Carolina and acid, and had dug a hole in Hungryland Wildlife Reserve. Stephen said he had planned to kill Trisha in advance, but although he spent all day with her the day of the murder, he couldn't get up his nerve. Finally, Stephen told them he was determined to do it, and texted Trisha, their 2-year-old daughter who was spending the night with him in an Airbnb, was sick. When Trisha arrived, Stephen said he first tried to strangle her, but waited for her to regain consciousness so he could force her to reveal her email password.
Oh, he's evil. Oh my god. He had this whole shit planned out. That is so scary. I really believe that whole push and hit her head thing was real. Nah, he had a chainsaw, acid. Sound like some Jeffrey Dahmer type bull.
And other information. Stephen said he planned to write fake emails to make Trisha's family think she had gone to Haiti on a mission trip. But when Trisha regained consciousness, Stephen said he beat her in the head with a club until she quietened. Then he choked her to death. Their daughter was sleeping in the next room. Stephen then took Trisha's body to a remote site in the Hungryland Preserve, where he had already dug a hole and readied a container with acid. It was there that he cut up her body with a chainsaw and buried her remains in an acid-filled container. He agreed to take them to her body in exchange for a 35-year plea deal that spared him the death penalty.
35 years, no. Oh boy, no death penalty is crazy. That's insane.